they had to create all this convolution, all this other stuff. It's like, well, actually, that's how the story ended, but wait, there was more, and it's not what you thought. And then the next thing you know, you do get this convoluted mess.
So let's go ahead and launch into our topic.
Let's go ahead and launch into our topic. And as we do launch into our topic, I shall spin a yarn that is 1,000 miles long about the young man who was going on the trails of destiny, and as he did so, discovered upon himself the truth between himself and the dragons, and how he related to the dragons of old. But let us not forget the young lady who is part golem, to which when he unites with her, they open up the gate of destiny, leading to another, what, too convoluted? Way too convoluted?
Way too convoluted. Yeah. And that brings us to tonight's topic.
Yep.
How to avoid convoluted stories.
Yeah. Is your story too convoluted? Convoluted?
Mm-hmm.
Is your story too convoluted? If so, you got a problem. So, what is a convoluted story?
Well, it's one where there's so much going on and nothing is getting resolved.
Yeah. Your story becomes convoluted when you attempt to weave too many threads in and never explain to the reader what any of those threads mean, or just use more threads in order to explain old threads. Like, let's say you got yourself a main story with 5 sub-stories, 5 major sub-stories. And in order, as you're going through one of those stories, you decide that, hey, my explanation here is going to be something else. Something, you know, to shock, to surprise, to subvert expectations. So you insert something else, and that goes into either another thread or another story, or creates a feeling of mystery that hangs. Not the good mystery, but the hanging mystery. And then the next thing you know, you got this mess. It's like a spider web or a ball of yarn. Wibbly wobbly ball of yarn.
Yeah, where none of the setups are resolved. In fact, there's no forward progress on a lot of them, and it's just kind of meanders around.
Yeah.
That's what convoluted is. And of course, you know, trying to slog through all that, the reader's confused. A lot of confusion, maybe bored.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah. And putting it into a game's perspective, obviously, because that's what this forum's about, you got a player who doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And when players don't know what's going on, they log off.
They do indeed. So the question that you have to ask yourself is, why does a writer create a convoluted story? Well, I mean, the most obvious answer is ignorance. They don't know what they're doing. You know, they've never done this before. They've never, you know, created a complex story. And they think that you have to make it overly complex in order for it to be good. That's not the case, but a rookie mistake.
It's a common newbie mistake.
Yeah. Then there's the other thing, or another thing, which is, as the writer is writing, whether it be a book or a game, they kind of go the full pantsing method. And they find that they're writing themselves into a corner.
Ooh,
and then when they get that corner, they go, well, in order for me to write out of myself out of this corner, instead of going back and revising or changing, they'll create a new thread that, aha, but it was really this. And then the aha, that was really this, leads to another storyline, and you start convoluting your overall story.
Yeah. To where you don't even, the player doesn't even know what the main plot is anymore. You just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about how to get away from that.
Well,
let's talk about how to prevent that.
There is, I would say, one more reason why
there is one more reason.
I would say so, yes. If the writer or the developer is trying to add to their overall story, whether it be post or pre, then they could create convolution. Kingdom Hearts is a great example. The original Kingdom Hearts, it ends with Sora defeating Ansem, and then he ends up on a road. Well, in order to backdate the story for Organization 13 and Xehanort, they had to create all this convolution, all this other stuff. It's like, well, actually, that's how the story ended, but wait, there was more, and it's not what you thought. And then the next thing you know, you do get this convoluted mess. So,
yeah,
you know, unfortunately, none of those are good reasons to have a convoluted storyline.
Okay, you're right.
So
let's talk about what we can do about this.
Yeah.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not get ourselves in the mess in the first place.
Right.
When you're writing a video game story, it doesn't not necessarily a book story, but a video game story, you need to plot it out. Make yourself an outline. Even people who are pants, okay, the pants people, you've got to have some sort of idea of what the main story is. You know, write it out.
Yeah.
Okay, like an outline.
Like an outline.
You know, the beginning, a couple of hooks in the middle, and an end.
Yeah.
Hell, you could just put beginning and ending, and then figure out what goes in the middle. But you've got to have something to follow, because if it's just up in the air and you never really get it out, then you will be risking a convoluted story.
Absolutely. And then the next thing you know, you're either going, well, I have to scrub the whole thing, or just as bad, possibly even worse, you run with it.
Oh, yeah.
Players and readers, as a rule, do not like convoluted stories. They don't. And convoluted's not complex. People like complexity. Some do.
Sure.
But people don't really like convolution. They don't. It annoys them.
Yeah.
It angers them.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
So, another way is involving another person. And that is have somebody read over what you've written, what you've created, what you coded into play.
Yeah.
Have somebody else go through it and let them give you feedback.
Absolutely. 100% deal. 100%. You know, we always talk about how important critical feedback is from anybody, from your peers, from your players, from anyone who will offer it, reviewers.
Right, reviewers.
You don't want to get to the point where a reviewer is saying your plotline's convoluted. You want to you want to stop it at the peer stage or the critique circle stage. Now,
yeah, you don't want to release a product and have it stop at the reviewer level.
Yes. Yeah.
So
those are ways to prevent, but how do you fix convolution? So you've written your story, you have your peers and your critique circle looking at it, and they go, okay, wait, this is too convoluted. Well, the first thing you don't do is you don't argue. I know a lot of people want to protect their work. They're very protective of their creative work. You know, my story's not too convoluted. You're just not able to figure it out, or you're not the target audience, or whatever the horrible excuse is.
Right.
Yeah. That's not how you play. That's not how you do it. Instead, you just need to bite the bullet and rewrite. Even if it means rewriting everything. Scrapping your whole story and starting over. Because
you really you're taking on more than you can chew trying to write yourself out of the corner. Even professional writers would have a very hard time writing themselves out of a corner. It really is easier in the long run to scrap all the way back to where the convoluted stuff began and starting anew.
Agreed.
That's really the best way to do it.
And if that means scrapping your whole story, then do it. Just destroy the whole thing, keep the notes and the basic idea, and start over. Best piece of advice given to me by my publisher was, if you're not willing to throw away your entire manuscript and start over, you're not ready to be a writer. Yeah. So there it is.
And and that goes for the video games. If people play the RPGs, one of the reasons RPGs is for a story.
Yeah.
And RPGs is about story.
Yes. Even if there's not a single line of dialogue, an RPG by its very nature is a story-heavy thing.
So we got to get the story right.
Yeah. Any last thoughts on that?
Here's Moogle Rampage. Hey
there. Yeah,
Moogle Rampage is up. Moogle Rampage is scrapping their story outline again.
Yes.
Yeah. And Moogle, you will don't worry. You'll be doing that.
Yes.
That's perfectly normal.
Yes.
You know, yeah, your feelings at the time are like, oh, really? You know, frustration maybe. I felt that too myself.
Gut wrenching.
But in the long run, yes, gut wrenching is another good word. But in the long run, it's the best thing to do. And yeah, Moogle is going through that.
Yeah. So my heart goes out to you, Moogle, but you actually made the right decision. If you felt that what you were doing was too complex, too convoluted, too difficult to navigate, then scrapping it was the right decision. Don't get to that point. I think if we can say one thing in closing, don't get to that point. Follow those preventive measures.
Yeah, you will save yourself a lot of heartache.
Yeah. So in the end, you as the writer, as the creative, get to decide how complex your story is or is not. But if a player needs a PhD in your mind to understand your story, it's probably too convoluted, and you probably have to take it, wrap it up in a neat little bow, toss it into the trash, and start over.
Clear stories.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
All right.
Clearly told stories.
Yep. Clearly.
You can have 7 subplots, but clearly told stories.
Exactly. Yeah, 100% Teal. All right. If you like what you saw, lay that smack down the like button below, subscribe to our channel, consider supporting us on Patreon, connect with us over social media, and we will see you in the next video.
See you next time.